At 11:59 on New Year's Eve, my mom, Karen, raised her champagne glass in our living room in Wetumpka, Alabama, and told everyone I was selfish for needing surgery. Then she announced I'd be sending her my savings that night so my brother Brandon could put a down payment on a Tesla. When I said no, she smiled like she'd been planning this moment for weeks. I didn't know it then, but she had been. Where are you watching from? Tell me in the comments. The party was packed. Karen had invited everyone, aunts, uncles, neighbors, Brandon's friends, even people from her book club who barely knew me. The house smelled like honey-baked ham and that cinnamon candle she only lit when she wanted to impress people. Everyone was dressed up, laughing, counting down to midnight. I stood near the kitchen island holding a glass of sparkling cider I hadn't touched. Karen was in the center of the room, wearing her new emerald dress, the one she'd been bragging about all week. She looked perfect, hair done, makeup flawless, smile wide. She always knew how to perform for a crowd. "Before we count down," Karen said, her voice loud enough to quiet the room, "I want to make a toast." People turned, glasses lifted. I felt my stomach tighten. This year is about fresh starts, new opportunities, family supporting family. She looked directly at me. "My son Brandon is finally getting the life he deserves," she said, her tone sweet but pointed. "He's worked so hard, and tonight we're celebrating his future." Brandon stood next to her, grinning. He was 26, tall, and had that same smug look he always wore when Karen praised him in public. He raised his glass slightly, basking in the attention. "And Ashley," Karen said, turning her smile toward me, "is finally going to step up and help this family the way she should have a long time ago." The room went quiet. A few people glanced at me. I felt heat crawl up my neck. "What do you mean?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. Karen's smile didn't falter. "I mean it's time you stopped being so selfish and thought about someone other than yourself for once." The words hit like a slap. A few people shifted uncomfortably. Someone coughed, but no one said anything. "Brandon needs a down payment for his Tesla," Karen said, louder now like she wanted everyone to hear. "And you are going to transfer your savings to me tonight so we can make that happen." My chest went tight. "That money is for my surgery." Karen waved her hand like I'd said something ridiculous. "Surgery you chose to have. You can reschedule. Brandon can't wait. This is his moment." I stared at her. She wasn't joking. "I'm not giving you my savings," I said quietly. Karen's smile tightened. "Yes, you are." "No, I'm not." The TV countdown clock showed 11:58, 2 minutes to midnight. Karen set her glass down on the coffee table and walked toward me slowly, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. When she reached me, she leaned in close, her voice low enough that only I could hear. "I already told the dealership the money would be there by midnight," she whispered. "You're going to make me look like a liar in front of everyone if you don't do this." I pulled back and looked at her. "You told them before asking me?" Karen straightened and turned back to the room, her voice bright again. "Ashley's just being dramatic. She'll do the right thing." A few people laughed nervously. Brandon smirked. I looked around the room. Every face was watching me. Some looked curious, some looked uncomfortable, but no one looked like they were going to defend me. That's when I realized this wasn't a party, it was a trap. Karen had set me up. She'd invited all these people so I couldn't say no without looking like the villain. She'd framed it as family helping family, so refusing would make me look selfish. And she'd already promised my money to someone else, betting I'd cave under the pressure. The TV flashed, 11:59. 30 seconds to midnight, someone shouted. Karen picked up her glass again and raised it high. "Let's count down to a better year for all of us." The room started chanting, 10, 9, 8. I stood there frozen, holding my glass. My hands were shaking. 7, 6, 5. Karen looked at me and mouthed, "Do it." 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! The room erupted. People cheered, hugged, clinked glasses. Someone turned up the music. Confetti popped. Brandon kissed his girlfriend. Karen beamed at the crowd like she just won something. And I walked out of the room. I didn't know what I was going to do yet, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't giving her a single dollar.
Karen didn't follow me immediately. She was too busy soaking up the attention, hugging guests, laughing loudly, pretending everything was perfect. But I knew it wouldn't last. Karen hated being ignored more than she hated being told no. I stepped out onto the back porch, away from the noise. The cold Alabama air bit at my skin, but it felt better than the suffocating heat inside. I pulled out my phone and stared at the screen, trying to steady my breathing. My bank account stared back at me. The savings I'd been building for months, every extra shift, every skipped dinner out, every time I said, I can't afford it when friends invited me somewhere, all of it was sitting there, waiting to pay for a surgery I needed, not wanted, needed. And Karen thought she could just take it. For a Tesla. For Brandon. Because she'd already promised it. The back door swung open behind me. Ashley. Karen's voice wasn't sweet anymore. It was sharp, clipped, like she was done playing nice. I didn't turn around. Ashley, look at me. I kept staring at my phone. Karen's heels clicked across the wooden porch until she was standing right next to me. What are you doing out here? She asked, her tone dripping with fake concern. Everyone's asking about you. I needed air, I said flatly. Karen crossed her arms. You needed attention, you mean. I finally looked at her. She was still wearing that perfect smile, but her eyes were cold. This wasn't my mother worried about me. This was Karen annoyed that her plan wasn't working. You embarrassed me in there, she said quietly, her voice low and dangerous. Do you understand that? I didn't embarrass you. You embarrassed yourself. Karen's jaw tightened. Excuse me? You told a room full of people I'd give you my money before you even asked me. That's on you. Oh, so now you're the victim? Now you're the one being wronged? I didn't say that. You don't have to say it, Karen snapped. You're standing out here pouting like a child while your brother is inside celebrating his future. His future? I repeated. Karen, it's a car. It's not just a car. Karen's voice rose, sharp enough to cut through the night air. It's respect. It's a statement. It's Brandon finally getting something good after everything he's been through. I stared at her. Everything he's been through. Brandon had been going through the consequences of his own laziness for years, dropping out of school, quitting jobs, living rent-free while Karen made excuses for him. But sure, he was the one struggling. Karen stepped closer, lowering her voice again. You have money sitting in your account doing nothing. Brandon needs this, and I already told the dealership you'd help. You had no right to do that, I said. Karen's eyes flashed. I'm your mother, she hissed. I have every right. I shook my head slowly. No, I said. You don't. For a second, Karen looked genuinely shocked, like she couldn't believe I'd said it out loud. Then her face twisted into something ugly. You're being selfish, she spat. You're choosing a stupid surgery over your own brother. It's not stupid, I said, my voice shaking now, and it's not a choice. It's a medical procedure I need. Karen waved her hand dismissively. It's elective, she said. You chose it. You wanted it, so you can pay for it yourself. There it was again. You chose it. Like my health was a luxury, like needing medical care made me selfish. I looked at Karen, really looked at her, and realized something that made my chest ache. She didn't care. She didn't care if I was in pain. She didn't care if I needed help. She didn't even care if I said no. Karen only cared about control. I'm not giving you my savings, I said, my voice steady now. Karen's smile disappeared completely. "Then you're not welcome here," she said coldly. I blinked. "What?" "You heard me," Karen said. "If you're not going to help this family, then you don't get to be part of it." My stomach dropped, not because I believed she could actually kick me out of my own apartment, but because she said it like she meant it, like she'd rather lose me than lose control. I swallowed hard. "Fine," I said quietly. Karen's eyes narrowed. "Fine?" she repeated, like she didn't believe me. "Fine," I said again. "I'll leave." I walked past her, back towards the house. Karen grabbed my arm. "Wait," she said, and for a split second her voice softened. "Ashley, don't do this." I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back up at her face. "You did this." I pulled my arm free and walked inside. The party was still going, music blaring, people laughing, Brandon in the center of it all, holding court like he'd already won. I grabbed my purse from the chair by the door and headed for the exit. "Ashley!" Brandon's voice cut through the noise. I didn't stop. "Ashley, where are you going?" I reached for the door handle. Brandon appeared in front of me, blocking my way. His smirk was gone now, replaced with something sharper. "You're really gonna leave? On New Year's?" "Yeah, I am." Brandon's face twisted. "You know what?" he said, loud enough for people nearby to hear. "You always do this. You always make everything about you." "I didn't make this about me. Karen did." Brandon scoffed. "Right, blame Mom. Classic." "I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just not giving you my money." Brandon's jaw clenched. "It's not even that much," he muttered. I almost laughed. "Not even that much." "How much did she tell you I'd send?" Brandon hesitated. "Enough for the down payment," he said vaguely. "How much, Brandon?" He shifted his weight. 15,000, he muttered. $15,000. My surgery deposit, my follow-up appointments, my recovery cushion. All of it. Gone. For a Tesla. I looked at my brother, really looked at him, and realized he wasn't embarrassed. He wasn't apologetic. He was annoyed. Annoyed that I wasn't handing over my life savings like it was pocket change. "You're unbelievable," I said quietly. Brandon's face flushed. "And you're selfish," he shot back. I didn't respond. I just stepped around him, opened the door, and walked out into the cold night. Behind me, I heard Karen's voice, loud, dramatic, performing for the crowd. "Let her go," she shouted. "Let her leave. She's made her choice." I kept walking. I got into my car, shut the door, and sat there in the silence. My phone buzzed. A message, unknown number. I opened it. "Hi, this is Mason from East River Auto. Your mother said you'd be sending the down payment tonight. Can you confirm?" My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Karen had given them my number. She'd already set the whole thing up, and she'd done it without asking me. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed one word back. No. I hit send, then I started my car and drove away from Karen's house, leaving the party and her expectations behind.
I didn't go home right away. I drove around Wetumpka for 20 minutes, trying to calm the shaking in my hands. The streets were quiet. Most people were still at parties, counting down to midnight, pretending the new year would fix everything. I pulled into a gas station parking lot and sat there with the engine idling, staring at my phone. 3 missed calls from Karen. 2 texts from Brandon. "Seriously? You really doing this?" And another message from Mason at the dealership. "Just following up, your mother said this was urgent." I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I opened my banking app. My savings account stared back at me. $17,423. Not a fortune, but it was mine. Every dollar represented a sacrifice, a double shift, a canceled plan, a maybe next time. And Karen wanted to hand it over to Brandon like it was nothing, like I was nothing. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Aunt Denise. I hesitated, then answered. "Hello?" "Ashley," Denise said, her voice tight with disapproval. "What are you doing?" I closed my eyes. "I'm sitting in a parking lot." "You know what I mean," Denise snapped. "Your mother is upset. Brandon is humiliated. You just walked out on New Year's Eve." "Because Karen tried to take my money," I said. Denise sighed, long and dramatic. "She's not taking anything," she said. "She's asking you to help family." "I told the dealership she'd already agreed," I replied. Denise went quiet for a second. Then she said, carefully, "Well, maybe she was just being optimistic." "Optimistic? That's what we were calling it now?" "Denise," I said slowly, "she gave them my phone number. She promised them $15,000. She did all of that before she even told me." Another pause. "Okay, but—" Denise's voice softened into that fake sweet tone. "Ashley, it's for Brandon. He's your brother. He's been struggling." I almost laughed. Brandon had been struggling his entire adult life because he refused to do anything that required effort. But somehow that was supposed to be my problem. "My surgery is in 2 weeks. That money is for my deposit." Denise's chest tightened. "It's still surgery," I said. "Right, but—" Denise hesitated. "Karen said you chose it." There it was, the phrase Karen had planted in everyone's mind like a virus. "You chose it." "I didn't choose to need it. I need it. There's a difference." Denise sighed, like I was being difficult. "Look, all I'm saying is, maybe you could reschedule, just for a few months. Help Brandon now, and then—" "And then what? He'll pay me back?" Denise didn't answer, because we both knew the truth. Brandon wouldn't pay me back. Karen would make excuses, Brandon would forget, and I'd be the one left scrambling to cover my own medical bills, while everyone called me selfish for asking. "I'm not doing it." Denise's tone shifted, colder now. "Then you're making a mistake. Karen is your mother. Brandon is your brother. Family comes first, Ashley." I stared out the windshield at the empty parking lot. "Then why doesn't my health come first?" I asked quietly. Denise went silent. Then she said, her voice clipped, "You're being dramatic." And she hung up. I sat there for a long moment, staring at the phone in my hand. Dramatic. That's what they called it when you refused to be used. My phone buzzed again. Karen. This time it wasn't a call. It was a voice note. I pressed play. Karen's voice filled the car. Sweet at first, like she was trying to be reasonable. "Ashley, baby," she said softly, "I don't know why you're being like this. You're making this so much harder than it needs to be." A pause. Then her tone changed, sharper, meaner. "You're embarrassing yourself," she hissed. "Everyone at the party is talking about you. They think you're selfish. They think you're cruel. And honestly, I'm starting to agree with them." Another pause. Then, quieter, almost sad, "I thought I raised you better than this." The voice note ended. I stared at the phone. Karen wasn't calling to apologize. She wasn't calling to understand. She was calling to guilt me into submission, and she was doing it the same way she always did, by making me feel like the villain. I deleted the voice note. Then I opened my messages and typed a response. Not to Karen, to Mason at the dealership. "I did not authorize any payment. My mother does not have permission to use my name or my funds. Please do not contact me again about this." I hit send. Then I blocked the number. For the first time all night, I felt like I could breathe. I put my car in drive and headed home, to my apartment, the one I paid for, the one Karen liked to pretend didn't exist when she needed to make me look dependent. When I got inside, I locked the door behind me and sat down on my couch. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Brandon. "Hope you feel good about yourself." I stared at it for a second, then I typed back, "I do." And I turned my phone off, because for the first time in years, I'd done something Karen didn't expect. I'd said no, and I didn't apologize for it. I woke up on New Year's Day to 37 notifications. Missed calls, texts, voicemails, a Facebook message request, even an email from an account I didn't recognize with the subject line, "Family Emergency." I didn't open any of them. Instead, I made coffee, sat at my kitchen table, and opened my banking app. I stared at my savings account for a long moment. Then, I did something I should have done months ago. I opened a new account, one Karen didn't know about, couldn't access, and had no record of. I transferred every dollar. $17,423 moved in seconds. Clean, final, irreversible. Then, I scheduled my surgery deposit payment for that morning. Automatic withdrawal sent directly to the clinic. By the time Karen woke up and tried whatever she was planning next, the money would already be gone. Not stolen, not hidden, just protected. I took a sip of coffee and finally turned my phone back on. The messages flooded in immediately. Karen, call me, now. Brandon, you're really going to ruin my life over this? Denise, your mother is in tears. I hope you're happy. And then one more, from a number I didn't recognize. I opened it. It was a screenshot, a group chat. Karen had added half the family, aunts, uncles, cousins, even people I hadn't spoken to in years. And right at the top, Karen had written, "I don't know what I did to deserve a daughter who would choose money over family. Pray for Ashley. She's lost." My stomach twisted. Not because it hurt, because it was so predictable. Karen wasn't calling me to apologize or explain. She was building a narrative, and in her version of the story, I was the villain. I scrolled through the responses. Most were some version of, "Praying for you, Karen," "Family should come first," "Kids these days don't understand sacrifice." A few people tried to be neutral. "Maybe there's more to the story?" But Karen shut that down immediately. There's nothing more. Ashley refused to help her brother. That's it. I set my phone down and stared at the wall. This was her strategy. She couldn't control me, so she'd control the story. She'd paint me as selfish, ungrateful, heartless, and she'd do it so loudly that no one would bother asking my side. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a call. Mason, the dealership. I answered. "Hello?" Mason's voice was strained, professional but clearly uncomfortable. "Ashley," he said carefully, "I'm calling because your mother is here. Again." I closed my eyes. "What does she want?" Mason hesitated. "She's insisting that you authorized the payment. She says there's been a misunderstanding and that you'll be sending the deposit today." "I won't," I said flatly. Mason sighed, like he'd expected that answer but hoped he wouldn't hear it. "She's very upset," he said. "She's asking to speak to a manager. She's saying we're discriminating against her son." I almost laughed. Discriminating? Karen really would say anything. "Mason," I said slowly, "I sent you a message last night. I did not authorize any payment. I do not want my name attached to any financing, and my mother does not have permission to use my information." "I understand, but she's claiming—" "She's lying," I interrupted, "and if she tries to submit anything in my name, that's fraud." There was a long pause. Then Mason said, quieter now, "Between you and me, I believe you." I exhaled. "Thank you," I said. But I have to tell you, she's not leaving, and she brought your brother. They're both here, and it's escalating. I rubbed my forehead. What do you want me to do? I asked. Would you be willing to come down here, just to make it clear, in person, that you're not authorizing anything? I wanted to say no. I wanted to stay in my apartment, drink my coffee, and let Karen scream at a car dealership until she got tired. But I knew Mason was stuck in the middle of something he didn't sign up for. And I knew if I didn't show up, Karen would twist this too. I'll be there in 20 minutes, I said. Thank you, Mason said, relief flooding his voice. I hung up, grabbed my keys, and headed out the door. The dealership was on the east side of town, a sprawling lot full of shiny cars that no one in Wetumpka actually needed. I pulled into the parking lot and spotted Karen's car immediately, parked crooked, too close to the entrance, like she owned the place. I took a deep breath and walked inside. The showroom was bright, sterile, and uncomfortably quiet, and there, near the finance desk, stood Karen and Brandon. Karen saw me first. Her face shifted instantly, relief, then anger, then something performative and wounded. Ashley, she said loudly, like she was addressing a courtroom, thank God, please tell them this is just a misunderstanding. I stopped a few feet away. It's not a misunderstanding. Karen's face tightened. Ashley, don't do this here, she said, her voice low and warning. You brought me here. Brandon stepped forward, arms crossed. Are you serious right now? You drove all the way here just to embarrass us? I looked at him, really looked at him, and realized something. Brandon wasn't embarrassed. He was entitled. He genuinely believed I owed him this. I'm here, I said calmly, to make it clear that I'm not paying for your car. Karen's face flushed red. Ashley, stop, she hissed. I already told them, I continued, looking at Mason now. I did not authorize any payment. I did not agree to co-sign anything, and I'm not using my name for any financing. Understood, Mason said. Karen turned to him, her voice rising. She's lying, she said. She told me she would help. She promised. I didn't flinch. I didn't. Karen's hands shook as she pointed at me. You are destroying your brother's future. It's a car, I said. It's not just a car, Karen shouted louder now. It's respect. It's a chance. It's $15,000 you don't have. The showroom went silent. Karen stared at me, her mouth open, her face red. Brandon looked away, and Mason stood there, awkward and stuck, watching a family implode in the middle of his dealership. Karen's voice dropped cold and venomous. You will regret this. I looked her in the eye. No, I won't. And I turned and walked out. Behind me, I heard Karen's voice, shrill, desperate, still performing. She's always been like this, selfish, ungrateful. I didn't look back. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove away. My phone buzzed before I even made it out of the parking lot. A notification. Karen had posted on Facebook. I opened it. A photo of her and Brandon at the dealership, both looking devastated. Caption: sometimes the people you love the most will hurt you the worst. Praying for my daughter. I stared at it. Then I took a screenshot because I had a feeling I was going to need proof of what Karen was really doing.
By the time I got home, Karen's Facebook post had 23 comments. Most of them were exactly what she wanted. Praying for you. Stay strong, Mama. Kids these days have no respect. A few people asked what happened. Karen responded to every single one with the same script. I don't want to air dirty laundry, but my daughter refused to help her brother when he needed her most. I raised her better than this. I sat on my couch, staring at the screen,
waiting to feel something. Anger, hurt, shame. But all I felt was tired. Tired of being Karen's villain. Tired of defending myself. Tired of pretending this family actually cared about anything other than appearances. My phone buzzed. Another group chat message. This time it was from Uncle Ron. "Ashley, your mom says you won't help Brandon. What's going on?" I stared at the message, then I typed back, not angry, not emotional, just factual. Karen tried to promise my savings to a car dealership without asking me. I said no. That's it. I hit send. The chat went silent for a few seconds. Then Aunt Denise replied, "It's not just a car, Ashley. It's your brother's future." I typed back, "It's a Tesla, and my future is my surgery in 2 weeks." Another pause. Then Brandon jumped in. "Stop acting like you're dying. It's not that serious." I stared at his message, and something inside me snapped. Not into rage, into clarity. I opened my camera roll. I found the screenshot I'd taken earlier, Karen's Facebook post, and I attached it to the group chat. Then I typed one sentence. "This is what Karen posted while I was at the dealership trying to stop her from committing fraud in my name." I hit send. The chat exploded. Ron, "Wait, what?" Denise, "Ashley, don't do this here." Brandon, "You're really trying to make Mom look bad?" I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my email. I found the message from the clinic confirming my surgery deposit payment. I took a screenshot of the receipt. Then I went back to the group chat and attached it. "I paid my surgery deposit this morning. My money is gone. It's not available, and it was never Karen's to promise." I hit send. Silence. Then Ron typed, "Karen, did you really promise Ashley's money?" No response from Karen. Denise typed, "This is getting out of hand. We should talk about this privately." I typed back, "Karen made it public. I'm just setting the record straight." Then I added one more thing. I opened my banking app, took a screenshot of my savings account, now showing a balance of $3.12 because I'd moved everything else, and attached it to the chat. "This is what's left. If anyone else wants to demand money from me, here's what I have." I hit send and put my phone face down on the couch. Then I waited. It didn't take long. My phone started ringing. Karen. I didn't answer. It rang again and again. Then the voicemails started. I turned the volume off and let them pile up, because I wasn't going to argue anymore. I wasn't going to explain. I wasn't going to let Karen guilt me into believing I'd done something wrong. An hour later, I finally listened to the voicemails. The first one was Karen crying, loud, theatrical sobs. "Ashley, how could you do this to me? I'm your mother. I gave you everything." The second one was angrier. "You posted our private business in that chat like you're some kind of victim. You're not a victim, Ashley. You're selfish." The third one was different. Karen wasn't crying anymore. Her voice was cold. "You think you're smart, Ashley. You think showing receipts makes you right, but you forget something, Ashley." A pause. "I know where you live." My blood went cold. It wasn't a direct threat, but it was close enough. I saved the voicemail. Then I opened my text messages and sent one line to my landlord, Mr. Patel. "My mother is making threats. Can you please make sure no one is given access to my apartment without my permission?" He replied within minutes. "Absolutely. I'll make a note. Let me know if you need anything else." I exhaled slowly. Then I did one more thing. I opened my credit monitoring app and froze my credit, because if Karen was willing to promise my money, I had no doubt she'd try to open something in my name. My phone buzzed again. A new notification. This time it was an email from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line, "Final notice."
I opened it, and my stomach dropped. It was a fake eviction notice. Tenant, Ashley, last name, notice of eviction, final warning. You have 48 hours to vacate the premises or legal action will be taken. At the bottom, in bold letters, property manager, Karen, last name. I stared at the screen. Karen had sent me a fake eviction notice. She was trying to scare me into thinking I'd lose my apartment. I took a screenshot, then I forwarded the email to my landlord, Mr. Patel, with one line. "This is fake. My mother sent this. I'm documenting everything." He replied immediately, "That's illegal. Do you want me to contact the police?" I hesitated. Then I typed back, "Not yet, but I'm keeping records," because I wasn't ready to call the cops on my own mother, but I also wasn't going to let her win. I opened the group chat one more time, and I attached the fake eviction notice. Karen just sent me this, pretending to be my landlord, trying to scare me into giving her money. I hit send. The chat went silent. No one defended Karen this time. No one said I was being dramatic. No one said family comes first, because even Day couldn't spin this. Karen had gone too far, and everyone knew it.
The fake eviction notice sat in the group chat like evidence at a trial. For the first time since New Year's Eve, no one was defending Karen. The chat stayed silent for almost an hour. Then Uncle Ron finally typed, "Karen, what is this?" No response. Denise typed, "This doesn't look right." Still nothing from Karen. Brandon typed, "Why are y'all acting like this is a big deal? Mom was just trying to get Ashley's attention." I stared at his message. Just trying to get my attention, like impersonating my landlord and sending fake legal threats was normal family communication. I didn't reply. I'd said everything I needed to say. Instead, I called the clinic and added a password to my medical file, something Karen couldn't guess, couldn't access, couldn't manipulate. Then I sat back and waited, because I knew Karen wouldn't stay quiet for long. She couldn't. An hour later, my phone rang. Not Karen, Mason from the dealership. I answered. "Hello?" Mason's voice was careful, almost apologetic. "Ashley," he said, "I wanted to let you know the hold on the vehicle has been released." I exhaled slowly. "So Brandon's not getting the Tesla?" "No," Mason said. "Without a down payment or approved financing, we can't move forward. And after everything that happened yesterday," he trailed off. "I understand," I said. Mason hesitated. "Your mother called 3 more times this morning. She tried to convince us you'd changed your mind." My jaw tightened. "I didn't," I said. "I know," Mason replied. "That's why I'm calling. I wanted you to know we've flagged your information in our system. No one can use your name for any application without you physically being here with ID." Relief washed over me. "Thank you," I said. Mason's voice softened. "I've worked here 6 years. I've seen a lot of families fight over cars, but I've never seen anything like this." I didn't know what to say to that, and finally, "I'm sorry you got dragged into it," I said. "Don't apologize," Mason said. "You did the right thing." We hung up, and for the first time in days, I felt like I could breathe. That afternoon, Karen made her next move. She didn't call me, she didn't text me, she went straight to Facebook. A new post, longer this time. I don't usually do this, but I need to share what's been weighing on my heart. My daughter Ashley has chosen to cut off her family over money. I asked her to help her brother, her own flesh and blood, and she refused. She embarrassed us in public, accused me of terrible things, and is now spreading lies to make me look like a bad mother. I'm heartbroken. I'm praying for her, but I also need prayers for myself. This is the hardest thing I've ever been through. I read it twice. Then I read the comments. Over 40 of them already. Praying for you, Karen. Your daughter doesn't know what she has. Kids today are so entitled. A few people asked for my side of the story. Karen responded to each one with, I've tried to protect her privacy, but she's made this public. All I wanted was for her to help her brother. That's it. I took a screenshot, added it to my folder labeled Proof. Then I opened the comments and typed one reply, not to Karen's post, but to one of the people who asked what happened. I didn't cut off my family. I refused to give my surgery savings to my brother for a Tesla down payment. My mom promised the money before asking, then sent me a fake eviction notice when I said no. I have receipts if anyone wants the full story. I hit post. The comment went live for about 30 seconds. Then Karen deleted it and blocked me. I stared at my phone, a strange calm settling over me, because that told me everything I needed to know. Karen didn't want the truth. She wanted control of the narrative, and when she couldn't control me, she erased me. My phone buzzed. A message from Aunt Denise. Ashley, why would you comment on your mother's post like that? You're making this worse. I typed back. She blocked me, so clearly she didn't want me to respond. Denise replied immediately, because you're being cruel. I stared at her message. Cruel. I'd been called selfish, dramatic, heartless, ungrateful, and now cruel for refusing to fund my surgery savings for a Tesla down payment. I typed one last message to Denise. I'm done explaining myself. If you want to believe Karen's version, that's your choice. But I know what happened, and I have proof. I hit send. Then I muted the group chat because I was done defending myself to people who had already decided I was guilty. That evening, my phone rang again. This time, it was Brandon. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. What? I said. Brandon's voice was different now, not angry, not entitled, defeated. The dealership won't sell me the car. I know, I replied. They said you flagged my information, he continued. I did. Brandon went quiet for a moment. Then he said, so that's it? You're really not going to help me? I closed my eyes. Brandon, I said slowly, I was never supposed to help you. That money was mine, for my surgery. You were never entitled to it. You're my brother, he said, like that explained everything. And I'm a person, I replied, with my own life and my own needs. Brandon's voice hardened. Mom said you'd do this, he muttered. She said you'd choose yourself over family. I almost laughed. Choose myself over family, like wanting to pay for my own medical care was an act of betrayal. Yeah, I said, I chose myself for once. Brandon hung up, and I sat there in the silence of my apartment, staring at my surgery confirmation email. 2 weeks away. I'd protected my money, I'd set boundaries, I said no, and somehow I was the villain. But I didn't care anymore, because for the first time in my life, I'd chosen me, and I wasn't apologizing for it.
The next morning, I woke up to silence. No calls, no texts, no passive-aggressive voicemails. For a moment, I thought maybe it was over. Then I checked Facebook. Karen had posted again. This time, it wasn't a long emotional rant. It was a photo, a picture of her and Brandon from Christmas, both smiling, looking like the perfect mother and son. Caption, when people show you who they really are, believe them. I'm grateful for the family I have left. Family I have left. The implication was clear. I wasn't family anymore. The comments poured in. You deserve better, Karen. Stay strong, Mama. Some people just don't appreciate what they have. I closed the app and set my phone down. I wasn't going to fight Karen on Facebook.
I wasn't going to defend myself in her comment section. I was done performing. But an hour later, Aunt Denise called. I let it ring. She called again. Then she texted, "Ashley, you need to fix this. Your mother is devastated." I stared at the message. Then I typed back, "She sent me a fake eviction notice. She tried to steal my surgery money. She's the one who needs to fix this." Denise replied immediately, "She made a mistake, but you're her daughter. You're supposed to forgive her." I read that sentence 3 times. You're supposed to forgive her. Not she's supposed to apologize. Not she's supposed to make things right. Just me forgiving. Again. I typed back, "I'm supposed to have surgery in 2 weeks without worrying that my own mother is trying to steal from me. But here we are." Denise didn't respond. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and went about my day. Laundry, groceries, normal things. Things that didn't involve Karen's drama. But that evening, something changed. I got a notification, not from Karen, from the dealership. An email. Subject line, "Attempted credit application." My stomach dropped. I opened it. "Dear Ashley, this is to inform you that an application for vehicle financing was submitted using your name and social security number today at 2:47 p.m. Per your previous request, we rejected the activity and flagged the activity. No credit inquiry was completed. Please contact us if you have any questions." I read it again. Karen had tried to open a car loan in my name today. After everything, after the fake eviction notice, after I'd explicitly told the dealership not to use my information, she tried anyway. I took a screenshot. Then I called Mason. He answered on the first ring. "Ashley," he said, his voice heavy, "I was hoping you'd call." "What happened?" I asked. Mason sighed. "Your mother came in this afternoon with your brother. She had a copy of your ID. I don't know where she got it, and tried to submit a financing application." My hands went cold. "She had my ID?" I said. "A photo of it," Mason clarified. "We stopped her immediately, but she was insistent. She said you'd changed your mind and that you were too proud to come in yourself." I closed my eyes. "I didn't change my mind," I said. "I know," Mason replied. "That's why I'm calling. I wanted you to know what happened. And," he hesitated, "I think you should consider reporting this." My chest tightened. "Reporting it?" I repeated. "She tried to commit identity theft. That's a crime," Mason said gently. I sat down on my couch, staring at the wall. "She's my mother," I said quietly. "I know," Mason said, "but she's also someone who's trying to ruin your credit." I didn't respond, because he was right, and I knew it, but calling the police on my own mother felt like crossing a line I couldn't uncross. "Think about it," Mason said, "but in the meantime, I'd freeze your credit if you haven't already, and keep records of everything." "I will," I said. "Thank you." We hung up. I sat there for a long time, holding my phone, trying to decide what to do. Then I opened the family group chat. I attached the email from the dealership, and I typed one sentence. "Karen tried to open a car loan in my name today. This is identity theft." I hit send, and the chat exploded. "Ron, what? Denise, Ashley, are you sure? Brandon, stop lying." I didn't respond. Instead, I attached the screenshot of the email. Then I added one more thing. "If anyone still thinks I'm the problem, you're welcome to explain why my mother is trying to steal my identity." I hit send, and this time, no one defended Karen, because they couldn't. The group chat stayed silent for 3 hours after I posted the dealership email. No one defended Karen. No one said I was overreacting. No one told me to just forgive her, because identity theft wasn't something they could spin. Finally, Uncle Ron broke the silence. "Karen, we need to talk." Call me." No response from Karen. Then Denise typed, "This has gone too far." Still nothing. Brandon didn't say a word. I turned my phone off and focused on what actually mattered, my surgery. 2 weeks away. I confirmed my appointment, I arranged my time off work, I made sure my deposit was locked in and my accounts were secure. Karen couldn't touch it now. She couldn't guilt me. She couldn't threaten me. She couldn't steal from me. Because I'd finally done what I should have done years ago. I chose myself. 3 days later, Karen called. I was sitting on my couch drinking tea when her name lit up my screen. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I answered. "Hello?" Silence. Then Karen's voice, small, shaky, nothing like the confident, loud woman who'd humiliated me on New Year's Eve. "Ashley," she said quietly. I didn't respond. I wanted to talk," she continued. "About what?" I asked, my voice flat. Karen hesitated. "About everything," she said. "About the misunderstanding." Misunderstanding? I almost laughed. "There's no misunderstanding," I said. "You tried to take my money, you sent me a fake eviction notice, you tried to open a loan in my name." Karen's voice cracked. "I was just trying to help Brandon," she said, like that justified everything. "You were trying to control me," I replied. Karen went quiet. Then she said, softer now, "I'm your mother, and I'm your daughter, but you treated me like an ATM." Karen's breathing changed, sharper, defensive. "I gave you everything," she said, her voice rising now. "I raised you, I sacrificed for you, and this is how you repay me?" There it was, the script she always returned to. "You didn't give me everything," I said calmly. "You gave me conditions, love with strings attached, and when I finally set a boundary, you tried to ruin me." Karen's voice turned cold. "You're being dramatic," she said. "I have the receipts." Silence. Then Karen said, her voice low and venomous, "You're going to regret this." I closed my eyes. "No, I'm really not." And I hung up. For the last time. 2 weeks later, I went in for my surgery. It was small, just like I'd told everyone, but it was mine, and I walked into that clinic with my head clear and my bank account intact. No Karen, no Brandon, no guilt, just me. When I woke up from the anesthesia, the nurse smiled and said everything went perfectly. I was going to be fine, better than fine, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't carrying the weight of Karen's expectations. I checked my phone later that evening. One new message, not from Karen, from Aunt Denise. "Your mom is telling everyone you abandoned the family. Just thought you should know." I stared at the message. Then I typed back, "Letter," and I blocked the number, because I didn't need to defend myself anymore. I didn't need to explain. I didn't need their approval. I just needed to heal, and that's exactly what I did. 6 months later, I ran into Mason at a coffee shop. He recognized me immediately and smiled. "Ashley," he said, "how are you?" "Good," I said, and I meant it. Mason nodded, like he could tell. "I'm glad," he said. "For what it's worth, what you did took guts." I smiled. "Thanks." He hesitated, then added, "Your mom came back one more time, about a month after everything happened. She wanted to work something out." I raised an eyebrow. "What did you tell her?" Mason grinned. "That we don't do business with people who commit fraud." I laughed, really laughed for the first time in months. "Good," I said. Mason raised his coffee cup slightly, like a toast. "To boundaries," he said. I raised mine back. "To boundaries." Karen never apologized. She never admitted what she did. She just kept telling her version of the story to anyone who would listen. But I didn't need her apology anymore. I didn't need her acknowledgement. I didn't need anything from her. Because I finally understood something that changed everything. Karen's love was conditional, and I didn't have to accept those conditions anymore. I'd chosen myself, and for the first time in my life, the new year actually felt new.